to either 4 or 5, I don't quite remember anymore. Along with competing, I actually run the contest over at, well, technically here at Anime Milwaukee, since we happen in the exact same location. So I've been on every single side of the contest experience, from running to judging to competing. It is wonderful. I get to see everything that goes down, and this means I get all the juicy little tips on how to get in and get through it without destroying yourself mentally. I still do it sometimes though. These guys can attest to that. Click button. So I have three cardinal rules when it comes to any type of contest. Collaborate. Oh, okay, yeah, this thing's slow. So competitions are fun. While yes, the word competition and contest are in the name, you're primarily going to be there to make friends with other contestants, figure out where you can improve, and pretty much learn what you can do to grow yourself as both a contestant and as a person. You also really don't want to be a D, because let's face it, we talk. If you're acting rude to one of my fellow contestants, I'm gonna hear about it, and I am probably not going to interact with you because I don't like rude people. That gets around. You end up getting a reputation, and then eventually no one's gonna want to compete around you. It is not a good thing. Then read the rules. I know this one sounds self-explanatory, however, I have been to too many contests. We've had people come in that did not read any of our rules, didn't know what was going on, and it was very obvious, and sadly gets them disqualified. You don't want that. Just every place will have their own rule sets, whether that is we allow gajinkas or no original designs or like anything goes, make your own scene, just show up. There are so many different rules that everything can change, and then there's skill levels. You have beginner, novice, dream, and advanced. What was the other word? Intermediate. Masters is usually the only one that seems to stay in place. Rarely I've heard it called professionals. Once I've heard them call it internationals, even though it was over here. I was just like, we don't have anybody from across the seas. Why are you calling it internationals? This makes no sense. They still keep doing it to this day. It bugs my brain. Sources and references. Some cons in their rules that are like you can only use this specific material. Actually, we can take ASEN as a great example. They only allow official works. No Bijinkas, no original design. So your Pokemon stuff, nope. Anything by like Savannah Alexander or those guys, usually that's not allowed either unless it's like super special circumstance. Sometimes you'll even have trouble, and games will be completely limited. And that one gets weird, especially when like they're like it must be Japanese media, but you have Southern League of Legends. It's like let's just some all of Asian together, but the medias are different. Be very careful on these rules. They will royally mess with you sometimes. It's been so long since I've done this much talking. So when you're choosing your cosplay, there are so many things to consider. How much time do you have? In that amount of time, can you complete everything? Are you being reasonable with your time? I am particularly bad at this. I'll be like, I have 3 months to con. I can wait. 2 months to con. Totally can wait. I can finish like 18 things in 1 month. No happens. And I've been sewing for 16 years. I've never finished a single costume in a month. Yeah, I was about to say, she has bad time management. Right? ADHD brain, I can be making something. If I get lucky, poster in 3 days, I will still not complete it on time because at the end of my stream, nothing will happen for. This is why I like a costume that is going on 3 years in the making. Granted, COVID helped cause part of that, but we're gonna ignore that. Complexity. This is another fun one. Simples versus your extremes. Each one has its pros and cons. We'll go a little bit more into that one later because it gets even more fun. Applicable skills and new skills. For instance, if you are somebody who is very good at doing corsets, shoes, wig work, and then it's like, okay, you're good at this, you've been to this one before, we know you, What about a new skill? What's something new you've done this week? If they can't tell me anything, you're just like, okay, you're sticking into your safe zone. Totally understandable. I love just making some items and skipping others, but that is not how you grow as a person or as a competitor. So we try to urge people if they're coming into a contest, like, show me something new. Like if we have to, we will put it repeatedly on their feedback forms. More complex next time. You can do bigger. Try this technique. Anything just to get them going. And if we see it's constantly being ignored, it kind of tells us this person might be stuck in this rut or in this area for possibly years. I've seen some who have stayed in certain ruts of beginnerness for 10 plus years. And that's not to say they're not doing great work. They're just not showing enough of the, what's the word, hustle? I guess hustle is the best word I can think of to really get going. Get out that gate ready. More on rules because we all love rules. Percentages. Some cons are like, you have to make 75% of your outfit. Others are like 50-50. Do what you gotta do and buy the rest. Some will go hardcore and be like, you have to have made at least 90% of your costume to place. And I'm just like, I don't like making mixed rope. I forgot a bullet. Oh no.
Can you walk and sit?
Oh yeah.
This is I'm gonna kind of hop in here. I know this is mostly her, but this walk and sit, me and her actually did a group cosplay together with two of our friends. It was more of a Greek mythology. We were going for a harpy, I believe.
Yeah, harpies.
This was still when she was still used to
Dinner back then.
and so kind of get used to the whole judging and showing that stuff.
Yeah, this was my first contest ever. I was a bowling mess.
It was basically a wooden wings and made out of metal bows, and she could not sit in it. She could not stand straight in it. She needed help.
I had to stand on my tiptoes just to stand comfortably because I miscalculated and the wings were too tall for me. I could not sit in a chair. If I wanted to sit down, I had to sit backwards, but then my wings jutted out and I would stab people. So I couldn't do that anymore. Eventually, we just decided enough is enough. They took me by my arms, just planked me onto the floor, and that's where I stayed for an hour because I could not move and I didn't want to do anything anymore.
And so many people came up to us and was like, is she okay? Is she alright? She's like, yeah, she's fine. She just can't stand.
It gets bad. Like that's why it's very important to do through all of that. Yes, oh, it's okay. You can go forward. All right, simple versus complex. We are finally touching on this piece more. Simple does not equal lose. They're not bad. Sometimes it's good to go simple. They give you clicky once. There we go. There we go. It's gonna be slow today. Please don't die during the con. And then complex does not equal you a win. All of this boils down to your craftsmanship and your techniques. If you come in with a simple butler suit that is perfectly tailored, perfectly stitched, your lining is completely impeccable. I cannot tell where this thing was ever opened. Darn right you're gonna win over the guy who came in with hot glue dripping everywhere and armor builds. Like, good on you. You did amazing with this armor, but craftsmanship wise, this guy's definitely a winner. I've seen this at many cons, and I've even seen people lose face at cons because of this. Like why did this butler costume win when mine has all of this armor and embroidery? It's like you have armor and embroidery, but if you see your seams do not line up, your embroidery is very messy. You can see spots in it. Like this whole area is supposed to be this color, but I see blanking flecks of this color underneath. You gotta really look at it and figure out where you're coming and going from these things.
You gotta give her a moment. She hasn't done a panel in 2 years, maybe more. So she's a little rusty. So
September 2019. That's the last time I did one. I am very sorry. You have to deal with my random volume shifts. Button, please. We're also still getting back into the whole.
Me and her are partners, but we haven't been technically at a con together since Dice Show.
Oh,
Dice Show
2019, 2 months later.
Yeah, so we haven't been actually done a panel together in over that amount of
Legit, we
years,
used to be at
but
a point where I could just talk, and she'd just be like, click, 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 completely keeping up with me. We're not there anymore. This screwed us up.
well, you are kind of far away from me now, so we need to get back into it.
I'm working on moving, don't worry. All right, constructions and techniques. I know we've been touching on this. We're going deeper into the rabbit hole because this is really where you get all of the good stuff. Be open and honest about what you're doing. I cannot tell you how many times, like, I work with real leather, straight from the animal. I know how to tan and skin, and I know how to do all that fun stuff with a hide. They behave incredibly differently than your regular faux leather. Neither one will be treated the same way on either a sewing machine or in the materials. Anything that you do with them, all the way down to your finishing techniques, are very different. I've still had people come into judging saying, I made this out of leather. And it's like, real or faux? Real leather. What technique did you use to finish your edges? Oh, I did this. No. We can tell. It is very easier for judges to tell if you're BSing us. And if we notice that, enough lies will have you be disqualified. You won't always be told. But when the judges kind of get that look with each other, you kind of know what's going on. Let's see, what are we? Yes, clean scenes earn a lot of points. And this goes for every type of garment, whether it's like something that has super funky cutouts. If those things are clean and like serged, I'm gonna be like, that looks nice. Lots of points there. Or there's something that's like zigzags all over the place, fraying on the inside, and just does not look good. It's gonna be like, that's a mess. It sits off my OCD. We do not like this. No points. Ah, da, da. Then of course your techniques. It's better to nail one technique than half a whole bunch. So let's say you're very good with embroidery. I would love to see you go ham on all of your embroidery and do that really well instead of like, oh, well, I'm great at embroidery. Let's suddenly try to be great at hat making. And then your embroidery is awesome, but your hat looks and then you try three other things on top of that, and all of them like, and it's just, you did good on this, but you could have focused more on these two. You know this is your area of expertise, but let's build on these new techniques before you suddenly just all in 100%. Like, I'm going to go into a new technique, I'm going to find something small just to test it. And my first pair of shoes was a dinky pair of boots. I still have them. They are completely awful, and I know it. But they help me figure out I like making shoes. I'm doing it again. Instead of just, oh, this didn't turn out. Trust me, I've done that with other things too. See. Ah, yes. Don't overlook your past experiences. For instance, with our wings. I'm currently in the middle of a giant spiral build with a 6 foot wingspan. Well, it was 6 foot wingspan. Not anymore because I realized I can't walk.
And how many times you have to knock off that cosplay?
Shut up. I get to talk about that tomorrow. That's for corset now. Leave me alone. Doing that, I've gotten to learn so many times, like, oh, this is too big. I'm too short. I could just go ham and wear like giant 10-inch heels, but I value my legs. I don't want to die, and my feet are already dying. Let's see, sometimes simple is your best. Same thing. You can go through and make 1,000 outfits and then all of a sudden tackle something new, and your brain can just go, wait, I don't know how to make any of this. And it's like, hold on. Doesn't this thing have the same basic shape as this thing you made 3 years ago? Yeah, why? Dot, 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 dot. Draw the connection. Use this shape over here. You're done. You don't have to make another pattern. Let's go. Make it easy on yourself. Because we all know if we don't make it easy on ourselves, we're never going to do it. Time sucks. Yes, document everything. Legit. I have one build that has over 800 photos in its album. It gets bad, but it is also very good because let's say you do get challenged on your build and they're like, I don't really believe you made blank. I here's some extra photos. Also, if you look in this part of this video, you can see my family came in with pizza because I didn't eat in 12 hours and they were trying to help me out.
That's another thing. I'm also her and her husband. We are both basically her caretaker, especially when she makes cosplays.
They make sure I don't die, which is very good. Have somebody around when you're doing a contest build that will do that for you, or you might forget to eat for 2 days.
Or obviously, since it's the pandemic, have a friend that will send video tag you randomly, like, hey, have you eaten yet? Hey, have you drank your water yet?
We have a group chat that goes randomly in circles, like, I've just had food. Did you guys eat? It works. It turns it into a competition, and we're just like, now I have to stop working on my cosplay to go eat just so I can go review. It works. I don't know why, but it works. What's the next thing? Yes, build books are invaluable. I've met so many people, even as seasoned masters, who don't know what build books are, and it hurts my heart. I actually have one up here. If you guys want, you are welcome to pass it around, flip through it. Pretty much these books, you're going to have reference photos, then you're going to go into all of your photos of your build. Personally, I always go head to toe, otherwise I forget stuff. If there's something fancy underneath it, like fancy makeup or fancy body paint, I will cover that at the very last. Otherwise, like my first contest experience, I didn't know what I was doing. I jumped from the falling mess, couldn't do a thing. The judges barely understood me, and I did not do very well.
Also, again with the rules kind of thing, make sure it's okay with the judges and the rules that you can do a build book. Because I know I have only been to one, but watching her and seeing other contests, some judges won't allow books or a phone or something that can go off, but you never know that in the contest. You have to really look and make sure.
Personally, if a con does not want you to come in with proper documentation, I usually won't enter that one because it tells me, okay, you're not actually looking at my craftsmanship and what I can do. You're looking at who's either the most popular or has the biggest thing. And that usually does not end well. Alright, move on to another fun one. We all know the Disney princesses of the early 1900s and their fancy designs, but they're so flat. And we understand artists back then had limitations. They could not draw 80,000 panels with beautiful brocades and silks and laces because that would have killed their hands and they would have honestly bankrupted the company. However, it makes sense that a princess would have this kind of stuff, so if you were building a princess, you could totally do it. If it makes sense to the character, do it. Like if you come to me with a Mortal Kombat fighter that for some reason has really fancy brocade and beading, I'm gonna be like, this makes no sense. Why would a fighter have this? It's gonna get ruined. You're gonna get flung all over, and that's just a waste of beautiful fabric. Sorry, I won't stab you, I promise. But if you come to me with like this princess town, like Snow White, Aurora, any of those guys, and you're like, I know the design is this, but I like this, or I decided to go historically accurate like this, I'm gonna be like, awesome, more power to you. That looks great. You have good reasoning. They're princesses. Why wouldn't they have lace and brocade and fancy things? Princesses will tell you, they always do good stuff, and that is why we fall in love with them. I don't have any glue with me, so I just
Well, I have a couple of
so we're going without now. You can click the button, my dear.
taking your horn away.
Ah, yes. More stuff on build books. Ha ha ha. These are some models I've seen in build books. Like, very minimum. The majority of what I do, I will film. So if I need to go back for something, I will usually just watch the video, even though it's like an hour long, find the good parts in it, screenshot or screen grab, whatever you want to call it, just so I have that good shot that like shows in the middle of working on something. That way they can't argue with me. Like I can especially be like, that's my tattoo. Who else do you think is working on this? Karen. Or like even shoemaking. That is a big one that I have had to fully prove to judges. I have started the process where I will completely video document all of my shoemaking because too many times have I been looked at like, I don't think you made that. It's like, not proof.
And I even seen it, and she told me, she's like, the judges were like, no, that can't be. It's like, and I actually seen her redo shoes, tear apart shoes, and put them right back together. They look like they were store bought almost. It's just like,
Dude, shoemaking takes forever, but once you get good at it, you get good at it. And then it's just like, show me where this could have been store bought. This is why I do like doing characters that you cannot find proper photos for, because then I can just roll up and be like, show me where online you would have bought this. No. Awesome. Don't argue with me. I have proof. I love proof, honestly. Like, I will slap it in people's faces, being like, thing. Ah, yes. The next wonderful part that usually makes most of us cry emotionally because we're judging me. Judging time. Dun, dun, dun. You will have two types of judging. My favorite and preferred is pre-judging just because we get to sign up for our time before the con even starts. We know when we're going in, we know when we're going out. We can read our bookies and be like, hello, look at all the fun things I did. It works. It helps. You get to go through and you get to talk to them for a certain amount of time. Sometimes it's too little time, sometimes it's too much. It really depends on the con.
it can also really help your confidence boost too, talking in front of people and in front of these judges you don't even know. You can actually talk about your passion. You can talk about like, oh, this is what I really like to do. This is I really work hard on this, and you can actually show it off and build your confidence, especially when you go up on stage. You're gonna need that confidence. It's like you made this. Go and show it off to the world. You made it. Some people are gonna love it, and they're gonna be like, "Oh my God, how'd you make that? How'd you make that?" And they're gonna learn from you.
I am bubbly, upbeat, and really outgoing here on the stage. I was not like this back in high school. I did not talk to anybody in high school. It took me forever to get comfortable doing it. Like my first judging experience, I bawled through the entire thing, like full on snot, crying, red face, horror. It was bad. I'm able to admit it though, I got better because I kept going into new judging rooms. I kept finding out ways I could prepare myself, whether that was a build book going from head to toe so I had something to focus on. I could be like A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way down. If they ask me questions, I can choose like please bullet questions till the end because that helps my brain and my ADHD is partly processing. If you stop me in the middle, I'm going to lose it and I have to restart. It works. If you talk to your judges and you're honest with them at the start, we're gonna work with you. Like, do you allow questions during while you're talking about this, or do you prefer me to wait? Can I touch things? Or right away when you go in, list out all your demands, I guess is the best word for it. Like, please wait to hold questions. You can touch, but please ask first, or you have permission to just touch and gently. Don't touch specific parts. All of this stuff. You lay out the rules in your judgment. Like, especially when it comes to flipping your seams and all that fun stuff. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, you don't have to. Legit, one of my judgings, I did not feel very comfortable walking through. We started small. So like, can we take a look at the pants seam down here? It's like, that's a little one. Yeah, that should be fine. And we worked up until my brain was like, okay, I can show them the inner seam of this corset. Totally not awkward anymore since they've seen everything else. It's weird, but it works. And they like your judges are there to help you. Another fun thing I've learned though, don't tell your judges what you did wrong. We usually don't notice it. Legit, I brought entire rounds judging what other people have done. And then they come up later and they're like, I didn't think I would get an award. I thought for sure you guys noticed blank. And my brain just goes, what? I missed something? Then they finally show us and it's like, oh yes, it's this very minor, inconvenient, obscure thing that nobody's gonna know but you. 99% of the time we do not notice. If we do notice, it's just because we're anal about details for particular characters. Most of them, though, if I don't know the character, I'm not going to know what you're talking about. So the character was supposed to have this weird tattooy thingy. I might not know about it, so don't mention it.
Okay, one major thing that I'm gonna add to this,
You got
especially if this is gonna basically be being the mom one. Before judging, this actually happened to her. Okay, and this is does remember. If you this is in a con, Wisconsin. It's called Milbrand Con. She actually won an award for this for her fantasy bakugo, if I remember correctly. So she did all the like signed up for a spot in that, and she didn't eat. She forgot to eat. She forgot to drink, and she passed out on me on my lap. People came up to me like, "Is she okay? Is she alright?" Like, "Yeah, she needs a rest. She's had a rough day." And I know in my head like, she totally passed out on me because of the stress of her cosplay, stress of judging, not eating, not drinking. It's like before judging, I would say like always if you're okay with it, have a caretaker. That's why she kind of has us up here. Like because like you need to remind your cosplayer you need to eat, you need to drink, especially in cosplay. Even before judging and after judging, say, okay, let's sit down for a bit. I know this was anxiety and stressful. So let's sit down, let's eat, let's get
Water,
something to drink.
granola bar, chocolate, whatever it takes to get your cosplayer to eat. Like I can police my friends and be like, I noticed you have not drank anything in this many hours and this many minutes. Here's water. But I do not do that for myself. I suck at self-care. Full honesty. That's why I got these guys.
Sorry, I decided to add that because that's one of the more important things also with judging. It's like before and after, take care of yourself.
Even if like you're one of those people who gets like the queasy stomach going into like something stressful, even if you can eat like a single bite of a granola bar or a single sip of water, that's something in your stomach. That'll help settle it down and you'll be at least a little okay. I have had to throw gummy snacks at people during green rooms because they're panicking about going on stage. And gummy snacks are amazing because everyone loves gummy snacks. They will eat them and they'll be like, let's try them again. I feel fine. Whatever has to happen, right? Also, write that down so I remember to add it into the PowerPoint.
Yeah, I just thought that is also another nice thing, especially when you have, let's say, assistants. That's basically what we are. It's basically the assistants will either like carry water, carry a couple snacks with them. Like, for instance, I don't know, JoJo, is that okay? JoJo right now is carrying snacks for her. Because last minute I was like, oh, the con is a couple minutes away. I have the money. I'm gonna buy a ticket and see my partner. So good thing, yeah.
I have 3 people this weekend babying me. Is pretty much what it turns down to because if I have to do stuff, I will forget everything else in the world.
Anyway, back to the judging.
Back to the judging. All right, your second type, on stage judging, which you'll actually see tomorrow for Ponyville. This type of judging is a lot more informal. Legit, you have your judges on stage with you. They will stop and ask you questions, and this is where it gets weird because some cons don't have rules about it. Those of you who've been at Magic know they ask somebody up on stage to do a math problem. Yeah, no. Most of us who are good, competent, nice judges are going to ask you about your build instead of something else. If it's fancy makeup, we'll ask you about your makeup, like how do you feather your eyeshadow that beautifully and stuff like this because I still can't feather like that and I'm jealous. We will go over random things like, okay, this is the first thing I noticed. This is very impeccably done. How did they do this? And it's good for this type of judging to be quick and concise. So let's say they ask you about your pantalones. You're just be like, I used a store-bought pattern. I made these modifications, and now they're done. Or you could be like, I duct taped myself, and I drew on this, and then I did this, and voila, pantalones.
May I say that's one of her would you say techniques or for armor to she's also good at somewhat armor building. She's not good, but she's getting better. I'm gonna say she is getting better. So one of her things is I actually like this idea. If you wanna do I know there's another was it another cosplayer is also going over building armor, but another quick and easy cheap way saran wrap yourself wherever you want to. Since you say you want to do something on your leg, saran wrap your leg and put duct tape over it, and then draw the pattern you want, and then cut it out, and then you can easily draft it on true fabric, foam, whatever you want to do.
It works. It's fast. It's easy, well, sort of, especially if you cannot get to a pattern store. This is all you have left in your house.
Trust me, she did that kind of thing on me because it was for the favorite cosplay we did together, and she basically just ran around to my chest, did a pattern on myself, and like, okay, all right, now I have it. Go get those first.
And it's fast. Depending on what you're doing, it will take you like 20, 30 minutes. If you're doing something like super fancy head to toe, it might take you like 3 hours. Whatever you do, have a fan on yourself. It gets really warm in saran wrap, and it's not something you usually think about. You're just like, oh, I'm just gonna put this on my leg, estimation 10 seconds. Put duct tape on, 10 seconds. No. That 10 seconds is usually 10 minutes or more, and then you overheat. Like quick answers like that is very good on stage. You want to be able to rapid fire what they're asking, like material. Well, hey, sewing technique, flat felt seams. If you don't know the sewing technique though, feel free to just be like, I did this and this and this because I did not know your technique in the book, and if you somehow do, God, but no thank you. What are we on? Ah, yes, next fun part. So if you're war in a prejudging contest, once you go on stage, this is where even more is going to matter. You need to have a good stage presentation, which is going to be your posture, the way you move, the music you pick has a very big influence in this. I actually have a fun one to talk about music in just a minute. You want to wow the audience when you get on. Figure out what is the most eye-catching thing about your ensemble. Make that your focal point. If it's something that's usually like hidden or you have like princesses, you got your you can do twirls, you can do the hoop. If you have pockets, show us your pockets. The audience will go nuts. I guarantee it. They love pockets. It's an irrational thing, but it's fine. Let's see your movements. If you're on a regular conversation, it's okay to just be like small movements. We're standing this far apart. I don't need to be over exaggerate. But if the audience member's 50 feet away, you need to really wow them. Use all of the space on your stage to make it look like you're doing something, especially like angry character. Do the stomp, give the scowl, make it really over here. You want them to be able to see all of your emotional details because they're harder to see on stage. You got the lights, you got the makeup, you got all the stuff squeezed in your eyes so you can't do anything. It helps. Just over exaggerate everything.
Just want to inform you about a background. Auntie, and I was also saying, I'm gonna sidetrack from one. This is when happens when the ADHD people on here. With the whole with showing off the cosplay, one thing with back to her Bakugo showing off, I was actually her assistant. She actually was did the actually had a neat look of Bakugo, and this basically was did Angry Walk, flowed her cape, sorry, flowed the cape and actually showed off the cosplay, that stuff like that. If you have a yeah,
Show off everything. You have fancy props, show us your props. If you're able to and you don't have something like right in front of your face, swing that prop around, brandish your sword, do something fun that we can see because it's gonna work with your audience. They're gonna be like, oh my god, they just did that. Yeah. Worry about your spatial awareness too. If possible, check the size of your stage so you know what you're going on because the backup they mentioned earlier was our AMP 2020. We have our stairs going up, we have a ramp going down. They missed the ramp and went off the stage. They could not see. Their costume was very you know those inflatable T-Rex things? It was one of those but back up. Of course, those things are already limiting on your vision as it is. You've got the giant thing, you cannot tell what is directly in front of you. They miscalculated, they went off, and it was like, no! The instant panic. I'm not allowed to have our microphones now during show in case anything happens because I blew two people's eardrums. My, the screech of terror is real, I'm actually now friends with that person. They like to poke at us about us, like make sure nobody falls off your stage next time. Like, I'm gonna stand on the opposite side. I'm gonna catch them again. They won't let me do it though. I've already asked. Ah, yes. The last part. You get as good an experience. Wait, hold on, no. That's about. There's one other thing. Music. Your music is very important. Like, okay, let's say you're doing one of the big, however many numbers you want to say in anime now. You can use their openings, you can use their endings, you can use like character theme songs if they have one. But what if your character doesn't have one of those? What if it's a minor side character or it's a video game character that doesn't exactly have thrilling music? This is where you can be creative. You can use like modern song and just oomph it up. Or you could even do a mixture, like say you're a villain on a show, but you wanna mix it with something modern just to give some oomph. Hold on, this is where my favorite part comes in. Right, go to the dice blow up the picture, please. This is my favorite walk on to date. We're starting in the middle of another one, and then we'll move on to a different one. There it goes. But pay closest attention to the music that these people make, and like how they move on stage and what they decide to do. Please cooperate, computer. You have to live at least a tax time. I don't have money to replace you. Here we are. Her entire walk on took the entire show. I was behind stage when this one was happening, and we were all like, and then this happened. And we lost our gosh dang mind. It was like, oh, I know this character. I know this song. Oh my god, this is the coolest thing in the world. We were just completely losing it because it was so cool. None of us had thought about doing that kind of a mixture before. And like she works it. She makes it just the movements, showing everything off. This is the kind of energy you want to get on stage. If you're not good at that type of energy yet, it's easy. Work on it. As weird as it sounds, TikTok is my biggest recommendation for getting better at your stage presence because it is such a growing and evolving app that you need to have that kind of presence in order to get noticed and stay on there. But it helps because then you're looking at yourself on the screen. You're like, I did that. That did not look very good. Let's try it this way instead. And you're actually focused on how your body moves. You're essentially giving yourself pseudo ballerina training. Those girls practice in front of the mirror all day to get the perfect range of motion and get everything down so that every movement is beautiful. I envy them, but I also don't have that amount of time in my life, so we do this instead.
One thing I want to add, especially on TikTok and on stage, we didn't see at all. There was little X's on the stage. With all, if you're in a cosplay contest, it is gonna you're gonna have rehearsal. They're basically gonna be like, okay, you're gonna hurt. This is how you're gonna do it. So you get, especially depending on the con. Like for instance, FlashCon, there was 3 spots. And each spot you can do a different pose, whatever you want. So basically, you have to hit one spot in a certain time for whatever seconds. Hit the second spot. With a cosplay contest, you only have limited time, so you have to really wow them. And you can basically, with those spots, it help you mark like, okay, here I want to do this pose. Okay, this X I want to do this. This X I want to do this.
You can really use these positions to plan out what you're going to do, and they also give you a great guide. Whenever, majority of contests, you're going to have approximately 30 to 35 seconds on that stage. That is including your time getting up onto the stage, off of the stage, and you're stopping. Because you also have to measure your amount of time going from spot to spot, and it feels like forever, but I do a 10 count system. Hold pose for 7, 3 counts to walk over to my next spot, and then you go on to another hold. This usually has you holding your pose for just long enough that people can look, appreciate it, but then you're switching it up fast enough that their mind doesn't get bored because we know humans, we see something for 10 seconds and then our mind goes, whee!
And as you walk into the next spot, just don't casually walk to the next spot. Do like go flow into the walk over to the next spot and do the next pose. This one,
And
do a pose,
your
casual
character.
walk to the next one, do the next pose, casually walk to the other one. Over exaggerate yourself.
You really want to sell it, like especially like Queen Meryl. We saw how she went from spot to spot, constantly doing the movements, showing off, just everything. She did the flamboyancy, and it worked. Glued to her. You did not want to look at anything else. You're just like, look at this! Oh my God! Look at this! Legit, that's how we were backstage. Just like, ah, this is amazing. It works though. You have to get that movement figured out, and it can be hard for some characters. Like I am a naturally bubbly, happy-go-lucky person. When I have to do Bakugo, it is very hard for me to get into that grrr mindset. I'm still horrible at doing angry faces on purpose. Like all of our photo shoots with Bakugo, I have these guys in the car just, you remember that one time this person did blank? It's just like, yes, I do. Why did you? I get it, but it works. If you have to do something like that to get yourself to show different emotions, do it. Just don't do it to a point where you debilitate yourself because we did one crime shoot and they're like, you do this and this and this. And she's like, now you're really doing really good. I'm actually crying instead of fake crying for a photo shoot. Find your limits because you really don't want to be that person who suddenly bursts into tears on stage too. That's very awkward. People stare at you very much. I've done both. Right, showing off details, we did that. Personality to advantage. Ooh, this one. Side characters slash silent characters. Because I forgot to edit that. Have a lot of info still. I don't remember the year or the con anymore because it's been forever. However, I went to one contest where we had Psyche from Psyche K. As most people who watch the anime they know, he's psychic, he's telepathic, he has all of these little perks built into him. He doesn't actually talk. He's a very mute and monotonous character who doesn't really do anything. The way that they were able to work that out on stage was they used his self narration to do this. How did I stumble into here? If I just walk off, maybe they'll stop. Oh, I just this is so cool. Just losing your. Sorry, I'm trying to be PG-13 because we are PG-13 con. And I just keeps losing. It's like the stop and like it's not working. Maybe a little bit faster. And then the threat of like maybe I could just teleport. No, there's too many eyes on me. You just gotta keep going. And then finally gets to the last one. I was like, I'm almost off. I might be able to just slip away and turn invisible. And then you hear the other character's voice. I don't remember his name. The guy who's like too dumb that he can't read his thoughts and just always sneaks up on him. And that voice is suddenly on there, and everybody who knows the anime is just dying. So this is like, all right, that's not an option. Go, and then he right off stage, and it's just like that was awkward but hilarious and beautiful that it worked. And this guy ended up placing, and I was just like, I underestimated this. This was a phenomenal idea. Why did we not think of this? And it's just like, we go talk to him later on after our green room time. Says, like, how did you come up with this idea? I don't like doing stuff on stage. It's like, that's the only reason. It's like, but I wanted to try. So he's like, so I figured I'll just do nothing on stage. It's like, I never would have thought of that. But it worked because of the character. So like if you have a character who does that, you have to find something really good that makes it work and flow and the audience will laugh. Because if you can't get your audience to wow, make them laugh. Like, oh god, I think it was yeah, our Minotaur group. We did pretty good at the first one. We got the wow. We lost our wow halfway through. Not as awesome. Totally understandable. So we figured, all right, last one as we're walking. What was it? Charlie's Angels?
Okay,
Yeah,
so
Charlie's
a
Angels.
little background. So like basically, she was a harpy. Our friend Julian,
Was
he
a
was
9 foot tall minotaur.
he had
Yeah, see,
drywall.
that got your heads up.
He had drywall stills. Trust me, when we were there, multiple staff was kind of like, "Are you okay? Are you alright? Are you alright?" He's like, "I've been walking in these years. I know how to walk in these." And even still,
there's
the
construction. So he knows how to walk in this stuff. He knows how to make it work. And none of us had thought about it until he came to us with this idea. Like, do you guys want to do a monsters group? I have these stills we can use. And she's like,
Yes. Even still, the staff was just like, "Are you okay?" Like hold
The
like
whole
like
time.
the whole time, and he's just like, "I'm fine. I can walk in these easily." So basically, go
It,
ahead.
it worked. It really worked. However, because people had already seen it out on the con floor, they weren't as wowed on it by stage. So it was just like, okay, what do we do? We're using them. We're using them. Get to pose R3. Charlie's Angels. So he hike spreads his legs. And I'm just like, if he falls, we're all screwed. Because our friend Tim rolls under him to do the and then the rest was like, yes. And that helped us so much because we got the applause and the laughter back. He's like, yes. It's like, all right, Barley's going out with a bang. I can feel happy. Now let me go die in peace because later on we actually found out this is a big thing you need to do in your green room time. Double check your costume. I neglected to do that, and we come to find out later on, the entire back brace to my wings had snapped. I was bleeding under there, but we couldn't see it. It was bad. So when we finally got everything off and we were looking at it, she was like, "That's why I've been hurting for half the day." Let me think. Yeah, we showed off details using your characters. What? I mean, I'm technically done, so we can start questions now. I know, yay. Hold me for a little while. Is there water in this room? There is.
While she's getting,
Sorry.
while she's getting water, do you guys have any questions?
How do you balance between like shoddy craftsmanship and intentional numbering when filming?
I'm still half and half on that too. There have been times where like I have cats. They will destroy me. Sometimes I can make it look like good battle damage, and it's usually just I will think to myself, how did this damage happen? Is it obvious that no, this is cat scratches, I cannot clean that up? Or is it like, did this look like it was slashed by a blasted by a rifle? Usually if I can find a good story or it matches something real world that I can think of, I'll do the 50-50. I mean, like if your character has pets, you can always use that as an excuse.
Well, this is going to be my first time doing an actual competition. I mean, I've done like some of the like just kind of fun ones that they have to do like where like at school or whatever they'll have like a
Yeah.
they'll have a costume contest, but it's not the same thing as what you're going to be doing. Like
Craftsmanship.
and I being fairly new, I'm going with something I've already done before, and I'm just gonna.
I think that's perfectly acceptable too. Like, what was it? So my C2 cosplay I made a couple years in advance. I never thought to really enter it into a contest because it is a very simple costume. It's not exactly a big wow factor. If you know the character, you're just like, oh hey, it's that character. But it is starting to get outdated. So you have to figure out other things that you can do with them. Like, let's say you made this one 5 years ago. A good way to refresh it is do a repaint, maybe redo your wig just a little bit, find a new makeup thing. Oopsie.
I'm going to get the novice or the closet cosplay. So
Sorry, and speaking of which, that's
That's all
basically
she
I've been
does.
doing is because I haven't got the time to actually go and make like her like actually make the cosplay. I mostly like for instance, I didn't have time to actually go out and get a wig. Technically, I'm
okay.
so it's like it's hard to tell, but it's like that's mostly what I do is both because of cosplay. Say I don't get recognized, but it's like I know who I am. It's like I'm having fun.
I guess my main question was going to be like, I know that you said that the judge is going to be asking you like all kinds of questions about like your like what like techniques and stuff, and
Mm.
I would have actually
That's okay. So like okay, personally for tomorrow, I am planning to get to the contest area early. I have a notebook that I like to take notes in, and I will walk around talking to people. That way, I know a little bit of what to expect from what everyone's done. So in a case like yours, I would get that information early. I know what's going on and be like, what was instead like the inspiration behind the character, especially if it is an original character design of yours. What's the character, if you don't mind my asking?
I was going to go as Phantom of the Opera,
Ooh, yes. And then for that one, I'd probably ask you what your favorite part of the show is. Save it for tomorrow because I'm going to ask you that
and
now.
I was going to dress her as Christine.
Oh, that's so adorable.
So it's so I put her down as my group collab.
Yeah, but like it's like that. Like for cosplay, and you don't know anything. There's some like she's been saying, be honest with the judges. Like say I don't know many techniques, but I am learning. But this is what I did. This is how I did it.
Okay.
And most judges will be respectful and understanding because people start.
Not everybody can make things, and that is a-okay. There are still things I would refuse to make, and I will buy them. And like that's another thing too. Like let's say you drifted a bunch of the outfit, you can be like, I found this here, and if it wasn't the right color or something, like dye it. Works every time.
Okay.
There are many loopholes. And then okay, sorry, I saw the one in front of you, and then you'll be right next. Hi.
Hello. When you're making your cosplays, what is your inspiration? Where do you pull your ideas from? Is it more, I like this character, I'm going to make this, or I have X, Y, Z materials, I'm going to do this character?
I have that photo still.
For her, since she's gonna be doing that, I can basically kind of answer. But mostly with
Have a
her,
mouse, please.
no, my mouse, my mouse. Anyways, with I know StarFall for over 7 years,
10 years.
10 years somewhere around there.
You're welcome.
I want to show my skills. Nice one. She mostly goes with, oh, I like this character. I want to try to do
Ooh,
this.
shiny. My Google Drive account just so I don't have to buy storage, okay?
She basically goes off of like, oh, this tests my skills. Let's do this. And most of the for like she, for instance, like this time, she likes My Little Pony and Rarity. She's like, I want to do Punk Rarity. She basically goes off of, I really like this character. I know them pretty well. I can do this.
The character range I go for is very weird. I go for all the way from angry explosive boy to generous pony, and then like for my technical bigger builds, like actually, hey, there's the file. Look, look, click.
Remember, it's gonna be slow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to bring this one up. This is her spiral that she's basically going off of.
This is the one that's the 3 year project. Ever since,
I mean,
ever
you want
since
it to
like
be good.
that's not the problem on this one. So like ever since she's making scale mail, yeah. So I started armor and metalworking back in high school. I like it a lot, but it is not my main focus. However, for some reason, I've always had the want to do a scale mail corset. And then Sunset Dragon did this, and I lost it because my brain was just like, this is the perfect opportunity. So I've I've been doing scales. I've been heat forming metal just for this. I've been going through a lot of BS just to get this done. And because of all the things project into a 3, possibly going up at my end is Crown. They moved it to MCM London though, so like same travel.
Okay, let's get the other questions. So hopefully that answers.
Purple dress first. Hello.
Um, so question, I wasn't sure, but mask, what is that like? So what's the workaround with these?
Um, it really depends on the character for me. Like, we do have recent games that have come out that have built-in masks for their characters, just in the designing style. Otherwise, like, let's say you're doing a Sailor Moon inspired one, you can do one that like matches their color scheme, or like has a fuku design, or you could even go to like putting their words are not my friend. Yeah, their planetary symbols, those things on there. Like something that would like reference the character, like Link, you could easily do like one of his Triforce. Thank you.
If I may add, when I did this, I basically did the style of Soul Eater, so, and I
gamer show has this funny little Easter egg. You can always throw that in on your mask and just be like, if you know, you know, and it works because if people notice it, then you're just like, yes.
Okay, I was just wondering.
Like with yours, you could have totally gotten away with like a bedazzled mask.
Oh yeah. Well, I had a black one that had like stars on the side of it, but I couldn't find it.
I understand that mood. I lose half the masks I buy.
So you got this one. I'm like, well, gotta do what I gotta do.
If it works, it works.
Pretty much.
And then Deep had a question.
I have a question about like the music wise. So now, do we give you like, do you guys have like a list or something, or do we like have to give you?
For this one, it really depends on the con. So even cons are prone to certain copyright restrictions, even though it's technically not like being broadcast or any of that sort of stuff. There is still limited music uses for some cons. I know, like us at Anime Milwaukee, we have specific licensing that allows us to use certain music. Other cons will just be like, we're not going to worry about this because we don't have the size or it's not in our current budget. If you do have a con that allows you to give in music, usually they'll have you give it to them either when you sign up online, if that's how they do the forms, or they'll have you do it when you come in for your technical registration or your pre-registration slots. Some cons that don't do music, like I don't think Ponyville does people music. I don't know what word you use, so people music. They'll have like generic stuff to use. Even then, usually the stage crew is pretty good about being like, I see what's coming on next. Let's play this track. Because these guys have been in this business for how long? They're gonna know what music's in their arsenal. Like, I did not know about music competing. So when we talked to them, it was like, well, I mean, like this is our theme. This is what we're going for. And then when we get on stage, they have this pretty epic medieval style music playing, and I'm just like, this works. They listen to us and they figure something out.
And one thing I want to comment with this music, talk with the audio guys or whoever's doing it and tell them I want it to play at this time, or especially if you can't cut the audio down, tell them, and even if the flash drives it, it's already set to this time, or say, can you please try to set it at this time to this time. Like if the con is nice enough, they will work with you and like, hey, I wanted to play at this track at this time. Like,
usually we prefer pre-cut, but we also are fully of the understanding that not everybody owns musical cutting software, and some of them that are technically free on the internet will add like cuts by blank music cutters.org, and it's like that is very distracting on your music. So if you at least bring us the track on like a disc or SD card or whatever with a written label, we'll be able to go through that and just be like, all right, play it at this mark.
USB is preferred, can
Yes.
understandable, but it takes longer for both as well ending up with. And we might not have it exactly as we want with downloading.
Downloading times is your biggest worry. If you're able to, I usually try doing a week in advance schedule. Personally, when I'm going into a contest, a week in advance, I need to have my music pre-downloaded. If I'm able to, I will cut it myself. If I can't, I will have it completely labeled on the SD card or USB to start. That way, when you get to con, they don't have to do any of that. Plug it in, copy, move it over. Because like even for us at Ampy, we've had music being that's like it's gonna take to load up this page. 10,000 people on our internet. This is not going to work. And they're like, okay, it's only 10 minutes. That's to load the page. To actually download your song, it's gonna at least be an hour, maybe more. And if it hits that, usually I'll be like, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to give you a random music. I use this to punish people, especially if they decide to do that, like Baby Shark song.
Well, I this I said that she said before, this is also my first competition. Mostly I do cosplay stuff for fun,
Right.
but I like to challenge myself.
That's just the best thing in the world.
But as for music wise, no, I did not prepare this is not. I'm not doing this for the contest. It's upstairs that I've been basically putting up together so TSA does not raid my silk luggage. So it's not bomb like.
Oh, it's okay. I totally heard
I
that.
had the list posted notes saying what's made of what, and saying like I literally labeled everything and basically said please do not.
I wanted to do C2E2 because I wouldn't have to fly. And then they suddenly said, we're going to London now. And I'm like, how am I supposed to fly with this?
That's like the worst. That's like the scariest thing. It's like I hate it, but I'm so glad it's safely
Oh,
here.
aww.
Yeah.
Any last minute questions? Damn.
What can you tell us about tomorrow? Like the time.
Is my itinerary over there? I think the time started at 4 something. Oh,
Well, like stage and.
oh, so to my knowledge for tomorrow, it's going to be the usual 30-second thing. And I don't think we're counting the questions in with your 30 seconds. Get on, show yourself off, then come to the judges table, and that's where we'll have you technically stop. We'll ask you a question, ask you to show something off, and then good from there.
And other people will obviously, if you're in the contest, people will tell you, okay, this is what we're doing. This is how. Obviously, like I said, you're gonna rehearse, which most cons and cosplay contests do. You rehearse real quick, so you know, like, hey, this is what's going on. This is the placement you're going, so you know.
Okay.
2:30 is apparently the starting time for tomorrow, so.
2:30 is the starting time for the contest, or is that like starting time for the
Contest.
Okay, so
I think we have like 2 hours for the contest
You
tomorrow.
want us to be there at 2 though, right?
I think, yeah, you can be there a little bit earlier. That's good. I'm personally getting there early to ask people questions because I like to talk to people. That is one of my favorite parts about contests. I can just be like, how did you do this thing? It looks so cool.
So are we doing like you said with the practices? Like, are we doing it like 30 minutes, but like before the actual contest, or are we doing it like an hour? I'm not really.
I'm actually not sure on that part yet. I'm still figuring this out as I go because this is also my first time at Ciderfest.
I believe it says in the booklet show
Hey,
up
look.
at 2, and
Yes.
event starts at 2:30, so show up at 2 for rehearsal.
Thanks for the heads up.
Or ask a friend down here.
Yeah, or ask a member of staff.
Find it.
Oh, I'm on Friday.
Uh, Friday. Saturday we're looking at. Bottom of page 21.
Oh, page 21. You are wonderful. Thank you very much.
Register online by 9 p.m. today. Registration sessions report to main events at 2 p.m. for the 2:30 start.
Awesome. Okay, so then yeah, show up at 2. We'll be there to talk with you guys and have fun. You guys are amazing. Thank you for the book.
Is that any different from
The showcase on Sunday?
yeah.
The showcase on Sunday is more like a runway style event, just because you have without having to worry about the pressure of being judged. Yes. So technically, like you could consider that the exhibition category for people who are like, I did a thing, but I'm not able to be judged.
Two parts to that question. Would we need to sign up for that ahead of time, and do we need to show up ahead of time?
To my check with ConOps or registration, don't know more.
I would check with staff because she says yes and she knows some stuff, but she doesn't know every little detail. So I would go to staff members or go to whoever this run area information is.
Awesome. So yeah, registration. And
Okay,
yes.
so for the exhibition on Sunday, would it be okay to have a different costume than what we had on the? Okay.
Don't worry, I'm planning to do that one. It's something different too. Technically gone over, but I'm always willing to answer questions. You guys want to come up and page through one of the build books I brought? It's actually technically 2 build books in one because I ran out of photo albums, and I made these ones right before the pandemic started. So, yay! Pandemonium, whatever word you want to use. I'm putting this on. Up. Yes. Oh yeah, that's actually something I didn't cover. I do show them, like, yeah, this was StarFall Cosplay. Oh God, me too.
I put my arms in my shirt, like I cannot feel.
Right? I don't understand why it has to be so cold. Yeah. Wanna testify? Here. Well, okay. Would tomorrow? How about like 1:30? Cause like tomorrow's my big day. I have my first panel at 11. Yeah, 11. Yes. I want to bring my
I
yeah.
mine's pretty straightforward.
Well, I said, well, I like the hockey team. A lot of the that are in the Wisconsin Rangers are we tried going to reenactments like many years ago because we know most of the work I met a couple who are on these reenactments and even they were talking about how the shit. I got really bad. Why are you wearing a regular bra? Are you wearing like your pants? You like these are comfortable. Yeah, some of our you have most of the time. Oh my god, I hate when kids not give me the layer of body. Oh, get off me. I understand your pants. Did anybody else want to talk about this? I actually run a basketball team.
So you probably saw me
Probably. Yes, I loved your performance. The energy you brought was like so electrifying. Like,
Hold on, stay on the stage. Shine!
now you're talking.
I'm gonna say last weekend at Pentecost, I was Luigi for Luigi Mansion, and I had this backpack vacuum on me, and I had a big stick down my throat with a big boot plushie hanging out.
So sorry.
So I come out on stage, hands shaking, cowardly as Luigi is, looking back across the stage.
I'm not much of a dancer, just
I take a big
very, very
sip of scotch.
If I fall, I didn't know that.
I take a big whiff.
No problem. Thank you.
He was always right behind me, and I tried to do a fake out. Whoa, no. Just a shrug for the audience, and then I turned back face to face with the coach.
Gwendolyn Griffin.
And might I add that
Someday I want to make plushies and like sell them. It's like,
but
like the border
her
just makes my
appearance,
like eyes like,
I think I
border
found
like,
comfort.
is this cold? Is the towel cold?
Yes.
Oh, that is awesome.
I just like the fact that like the Ponyville ones, they actually have I just like feet estate. Well, the Ponyville ones have a feet estate